the Broncos and the Bills. Deep ball down the field. The ball is intercepted. Oh, my goodness. And Denver's going to the AFC Championship game.
I feel like I let my teammates down tonight.
The Bills have fired their coach, Sean McDermott. The news comes on the heels of the Bills' overtime loss to the Broncos.
My decision to bring in a new coach was based on the results of our game in Denver.
We have breaking news out of Buffalo. The Bills are signing Joe Brady to a 5-year deal to be their next head coach. Hello and welcome to First Take, everyone. Shay Cornett here with you, Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Smith. Good morning, Stephen A. How are you?
Morning, guys. Good morning. How y'all doing? What's up, RC? What's up, Shay? How you doing?
Hello.
I'm good.
We are happy. It is Friday. We are, about a week and some change away from the Super Bowl. We'll get into all of that, but let's go to Buffalo because the Bills introduced Joe Brady as their new head coach yesterday. Obviously, a very familiar face is Joe Brady because he was the offensive coordinator there the last 2 seasons, quarterbacks coach prior to that. The Bills were top 5 in scoring the last 2 years, but they have yet, of course, to make the Super Bowl with Josh Allen under center. And so here's the new Coach Brady.
I'm not an offensive head coach. I'm a head coach. And, I just told the guys out there, I can't wait for the first practice to go out there and Josh to throw a pick, and I get to celebrate with the defense. I can't wait to be able to talk to our the offensive tackle when we get beat 10 games to it. Can't wait. I don't want it to happen.
Yeah, of course, because it's on you, but
I know, you know what I mean. So, but I need them to know that I'm in it with them now. You know what I mean? And it's not hey, I'm going out to practice and I'm just yelling at the defense. It's no, let's go, and I want them to feel that. And so I hope that that's a mentality and a mindset that our guys have is they can't view me in the same way. And so it's not, hey, business as usual. Hey, Sean McDermott out, Joe Brady in, and we're just keeping it moving. There's got to be a different mentality in the way that we go about it. And I'm excited for it.
Okay, sounds excited. Fire up. Yeah. Had to have the beep button ready there a few times on Pat McAfee. Yeah. He says it's going to be completely different. But the question now is, because there was a reason they let go of Sean McDermott, is it Super Bowl or bust for Brady this season?
It's Super Bowl or bust, 1, for Josh Allen, and 2, he wins a Super Bowl. There's nothing else for him to do, nothing else for him to prove. I mean, since this dude's been in the league, he has more total touchdowns than 12 different organizations. So what Josh Allen needs to do is win a Super Bowl. The expectation of Josh Allen will be to win a Super Bowl. And for Joe Brady, he has to go win a Super Bowl because that's the thing that Sean McDermott hasn't done. He's done everything else. He's gotten them to AFC championships. He's gotten them to the playoffs for consecutive years. He's had this team extremely competitive in the AFC East, winning it consecutively until this year when the New England Patriots dethroned them. But let me tell y'all something about Joe Brady. Joe Brady is the right hire for this team. Joe Brady should have been a head coach, in my opinion, before this year. In 2019, I would watch him walk that field at LSU, work with Joe Burrow, work with Jamar Chase, work with Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he understood everything that those young men needed to be great. I think he has the same thing for the Buffalo Bills, but he has to understand the only thing that's different now to everyone is that Sean McDermott isn't there. And he has to be the difference between where the Buffalo Bills have been and where the Buffalo Bills are going. And so it's absolutely Super Bowl or bust for Coach Brady, Josh Allen, and this team.
I disagree. I respect where you're coming from. I know you know what the hell you're talking about, but I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. RC, you've highlighted repeatedly throughout this season what the Bills have been lacking. You knew it was Josh Allen, but they needed to upgrade their wide receiver core, obviously. They got their running game intact with Cook. We get that part. You needed to upgrade with your receivers. You certainly needed to upgrade that defense. So I'm looking at Beane. Are you going to get him the pieces that he needs? Then come to me and tell me what pressure's on Joe Brady. I understand that you got to a divisional playoff round. You beat a number 3 seed on the road. You go on the road again against Denver, and obviously things fall apart for you. I get that part. But the flip side to it is that even though McDermott was there, you got to the playoffs. You were good enough to get to the playoffs. So pressure's on Joe Brady to do that. Pressure's on Joe Brady to make sure that Josh Allen doesn't look worse with him than he has looked under his stewardship as the offensive coordinator coordinator over the last few years. I get that part. But when we talk about Super Bowl specifically, Super Bowl or bust, I'm looking at the GM who was elevated to president on the day that Sean McDermott, who all of us agree shouldn't have been fired, was fired. That's what I'm looking at. Is the GM who's now the president going to get another pass? He ain't getting it here. He's got to show up and he's got to produce. You are absolutely right. Joe Brady was the right hire. Please don't get me wrong. Joe Brady, congratulations. You deserve this opportunity. I think he's going to do a hell of a job personally. But I harken back to what you said weeks ago, RC, when you talked about how he would have been a perfect coach for the Bengals with Joe Burrow because of their history, with those wide receiver course. So we were looking at it from that standpoint. In our perfect world, Zach Taylor would have been gone. Joe Brady would have been inserted in there as the head coach in Cincinnati, and it would have made things even more compelling in the AFC. That's not what happened. And in the end, he's staying where he was in Buffalo. Instead, this time, he's been elevated to head coach. He deserves the job. I think we're all confident he will do a good job. But since we're so confident in him that he was the right hire because of his credentials and what he brings to the table, then you ultimately have to point it out to what was missing, because it certainly wasn't anything on his side. It's looking at this roster. Brandon Beane's got to elevate his game and show that he's worthy of being elevated from GM to president. When he does that, then it's Super Bowl or bust. But as presently constructed, no, it is not that, because Brandon Beane doesn't have the roster for him.
I don't think you could say that. We've been treating Josh Allen and Sean McDermott as if it's been Super Bowl or bust since Josh Allen became the player that he is. Since he was starting to be mentioned with the Patrick Mahomes and the Lamar Jacksons, we've been saying Josh Allen has to take the next step. So now all of a sudden, when they change the coach, because Josh Allen didn't take the next step, because the Buffalo Bills haven't elevated past where they've been in recent years, we can't say all of a sudden now it's just on Brandon Beane. Obviously, it's not on Brandon Beane. He got a promotion. Obviously, they feel that Brandon Beane has constructed a team well enough to go win a championship.
We ain't here on First Take giving a damn about how they feel about Brandon Beane. We telling the world how we feel about Brandon Beane. We did not believe that he deserved to be elevated to the presidency on the day that Sean McDermott got let go. What did we all say? If Sean McDermott has to go, why are you still there? That's what we said. So my point is, we're highlighting the fact that, guess what? It was a dual effort. You're trying to act like one dude came up short when, in fact, it was Beane who came up short, too, because we looked at this roster. As the season progressed this year, even though we definitely looked at Josh Allen because of his greatness, and there was a level of accountability we were willing to attach to him, in the same breath, we still said, RC, this roster, you know what? I mean, they got some stuff that's missing here. They shouldn't. We were surprised a little bit that they beat Jacksonville. We didn't expect them to beat Denver. They had already lost to New England during the regular season at least once. And they lost the AFC East crown, of course. We looked at all of those things, and we said, this doesn't look like it's the year from them. They got too many holes. They can't get stops at pivotal points when you really, really need them to. We had those questions. That's on Beane. That's all I'm saying. Joe Brady got to do his job. They got to win. They got to be competitive. They got to get to the playoffs. I get that. But Super Bowl or bust, Beane, can you improve the roster? That's what we're looking for him to do before we're willing to say that.
Yeah, and I think the thing we have to remember as well was, let's look at a few games this team lost this season that put them in the position they were in, or the position to fire Sean McDermott. Josh Allen has said now on multiple occasions, things are different if I make a few plays. We are not here talking about Sean McDermott not being the coach and Joe Brady being the head coach if I play better. If I hit Khalil Shakir against the Philadelphia Eagles on a 2-point conversion, that is a win. If I don't turn the football over the way I do in Houston or the way I do in Atlanta, if I play better in the AFC divisional round in Denver, things are different. And so what Brandon Beane is looking at, what Pagula is looking at is this. They're saying to themselves, wait, our all-world quarterback had multiple occasions to play better, to make a throw, so the roster must be good enough because those few plays were on him. So I believe they won't be giving anybody any passes. They don't believe that the roster is that far off, and therefore that puts pressure on Joe Brady now as the head coach.
But there were also a number of times when he did make plays and others didn't. I mean, it wasn't just on him. And by the way, what do we usually praise Patrick Mahomes about? We say no matter whose fault it was, he always says it's him. So Josh Allen saying that was him don't really mean anything to us. It's just showing us he's a big boy, he's a leader, and he's willing to take accountability. Props to him. But in the end, when we look at the Buffalo Bills on far more occasions than not throughout the year,